Okay, now we're live. We are live. I'm talking to Mikey McNuggets on the phone. Mikey McNuggets, I'm going to hang up on you now. Welcome, everybody, to the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. What a way to start the first show of the year, Zach. I'm like, Mikey, we're having technical difficulties with the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. It appears nobody's watching right now anyway. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if we're not connected. Yeah, there's people. All right, some people are coming in. Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. We're off to a fantastic start. I got holes in my shirt. What did I do? I wore a shirt that's got like holes in it. It's like my, bouncing around the house shirt. I didn't realize I had holes. Zach, save me here. What are we talking about today?
There's no saving you. Year 3 of this show, they keep bringing us back, and we're giving them more and more reasons to change their minds.
Yeah, absolutely. Jose Ramirez, nobody's changed their mind about him. He has signed an extension. The T's have been crossed, I think. The I's have been dotted. And Jose will be here through his age 40 season. But the Guardians won't spend money on anybody else. We'll get to all of it on the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. All right, Zach, Happy New Year to you. I think it's allowed to say that still, since it's, even though it's late January, because it's the first time we're seeing each other this year. Big news. Did you see this coming? I know.
Anthony Lynn interviewing.
Anthony Lynn, you want to break that down?
No, I didn't see, Saturday night, like I didn't see that coming. But this gives us clarity on it. No, we don't have to talk about that. Are you sick of talking about that yet?
Yeah, 100%. Yet. It's been a while. Just hire a coach already. But anyway, well, that's for another day. There's plenty of Browns talk out there. Let's talk about the Guardians. Hector Gomez first reported the possibility of this. Then you were on it yesterday with some of the details. In the end, he had been scheduled to have 3 more years on his contract. This adds 4 years and roughly $100 million additional money, of which $70 million will be deferred. But what it does is it locks up Jose Ramirez, who will most likely, obviously, if both sides agreed, he could be traded, but it seems unlikely, that he will be a Guardian for his entire career, something we haven't seen by a good Guardians player in our entire lifetime.
You think about because you don't see this in very many places, period.
Even in the big markets, this is rare.
And I was even thinking about other sports, like you'll see it in the NFL if you have just a stud quarterback and you can't let them go, right? And that's it. But even those quarterbacks toward the end of their career, Aaron Rodgers bounced around to a few places. Brett Favre bounced around. Like
Manning.
You imagine these guys, So you imagine these guys in one uniform, but like at the end, they, for whatever reason, they can't just hang it up. Tom Brady in Tampa. So it's rare in any sport. It's very rare in baseball because it's especially hard to do in a market like this.
Yeah.
And so it takes just a perfect marriage. And one big part of that marriage is a player who is a superstar, but is not going to chase every last dollar. And so Ramirez debuted as a 20-year-old pinch runner in September of 2013, who forgot his cleats the day of his debut. And he's going to retire, presumably, when he's 40.
Yeah.
20 to 40. I mean, it's just the perfect script here. And it's wild. He'll get, so they're going to rip up. The physical's got to clear and when this is done, but the contract's all set. They're going to rip up the 3 years and $69 million he had remaining. It'll be a new 7 years, $175 million deal, $25 million a year, $10 million of which is deferred each year, which I was going to say helps the Guardians in the interim because they pay less, but they need help. Their payroll is 25 cents.
Right, exactly. People were saying that to me yesterday, Zach, because they were like, well, maybe they'll spend No, they already have the most payroll. They already have the lowest payroll in the league. By the way, quick correction, Dan Marino played his whole career in Miami, Joe Montana in the
with the Chiefs, right? So, it's weird. Like, I'm torn between, I've been sitting on ranting and ripping them in a column because I want to at least give them till spring training starts. And this makes me just want to delay things a little bit. Like, I don't want to just pile on ownership today.
Right.
And yeah, like this actually is financially more viable for ownership anyway. And it's like Dolan's pushing some of this off. Like Blitzer was a part of this. Blitzer
Yes.
was in the room, and like that's important. And so that's part of it. But I do think there's some credit to pass out for making sure this guy's here and making sure you have a face of the franchise and that you have an example that people can point to. I mean, how long did it take for people? They still haven't getting over CC Sabathia and Cliff Lee. And it felt like anytime the Guardians or the Indians developed a really good player, it was like, okay, and then you're just going to trade him to the Yankees. And that's that. And it's like, finally, you have someone who you can buy your kids their jersey and you know he's going to be here until the end of his career. You know that there's going to be a statue. You know he's going to go into the Hall of Fame with a Cleveland hat on. So I think all that stuff is important. Let's also not lose sight of the fact that, like, he's a draw. People buy tickets to see him. You know, I've heard people say, like, oh, like that contract's going to look ugly at the end of it. And it's like, not really. Like, he's making, if you take away the deferred payments, he's going to make $15 million a year. And like that in the year 2032 is going to seem like nothing. And by the way, people are going to say, hey, let me get the family. Let's go see Jose for the last time we could possibly see him. Like, you should be able to sell a lot of tickets.
Yeah.
Last season, it worked for Miguel Cabrera in Detroit, and he was making like twice what Jose's going to make. So there's nothing bad here. Like, this is all good. This is all like he deserved it. And if you really think about it, it's his third extension he signed in Cleveland, all way below market value.
Way below.
Total, all the particulars of the three deals, it's 16 years, $271 million.
Yeah.
That's like Juan Soto just got 15 for what, 750 or something like that?
Right.
760.
Yeah.
So think about that. Jose got 1 year longer and $500 million less than Juan Soto. And by the way, MLB Network just released its top 100 players, and they had, I think, Ramirez was 5th and Soto was 6th. So pretty comparable players. Soto's younger, but like, it just shows you what Ramirez has sacrificed to stay in a place that he finds comfortable.
I said yesterday he's the third best player in baseball behind Judge and Ohtani. Who were the other two they had ahead of him?
Cal Raleigh and Bobby Witt.
No, Cal Raleigh is not better than Jose Ramirez. That's silly. He had a better offensive season than him last year, but he's not a better player. There's no way, if you're thinking about, like, the better player shouldn't be, I guess it's right now, and he had the better season last year. Bobby Witt, okay. I mean, I'd rather have Bobby Witt because he's younger. I get it. But the point is he's right there. And if what I said yesterday is if he were a free agent now, like this year, he would have gotten paid more than all these guys. He's better than Kyle Tucker. I know he's older than Kyle Tucker, but Kyle Tucker took a short deal anyway. Like, he's better than Kyle Tucker. Not only and Jose is the most reliable player in the entire league, Zach. He's been on the injured list once. And I think he missed, 20, 30 games?
That was when he broke the hamate bone in his hand. It was 2019, and Cleveland was fighting for a wild card spot. And he was supposed to miss, I think it was 5 to 7 weeks, and he came back in 25 days.
Right.
And his first two at-bats were a grand slam and a 3-run homer.
I mean, it was,
like, I think, so he would have, remember when he signed the last extension, just before opening day in 2022, and he pushed for that. And if they couldn't agree to terms, they had deals lined up with the Blue Jays and the Padres, and they were going to make a trade.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had 2 years left on his deal at that point, or I think it was 2 club options.
Right.
So he would have hit free agency after 2023.
Oh my God.
Which actually that's like his quote unquote worst year in a while, because he only finished 10th in the MVP voting.
Yeah.
So he had just turned 31, I believe. So, you know, I don't know that he would have gotten like 10 for 500, but we got a lot more. Like, he probably would have gotten as much as he's made his entire career with Cleveland. So I mean, it's a rare athlete who says, you know, I'd sacrifice 100 million, 200 million to show up to work every day at a place I love, and a place that, like, all the faults where they don't spend money and they don't surround him with talent.
Yeah.
they are in the hunt. They're in the mix every year.
Yes.
And I think, you look at someone like Chris Bryant, who took the money and went to Colorado.
Yeah.
And like, what a miserable existence. He
Yeah.
couldn't be further off the map, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's some fear of that. I think with him, like, he never wanted to be in a big market, getting all the spotlight, being pulled in every direction for interviews. And like, there's something to say about comfort, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's just a different breed, though. And it's cool when you think about his journey, and like, he was never billed as a top prospect. Even when he's putting up huge numbers in the minors, it was like, hey, utility infielder, maybe can hold down the fort at second base for a little bit. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and he's going to spend his entire career in Cleveland. And it's just storybook.
Never would have thought when he first came up he'd be this player. I mean, never did I see it coming. I don't think anybody in the organization thought he'd be this good a player. He does everything well. There's really no weakness to his game, right? I mean, he's the type of player that I think will age well. And yeah, the last year or two of the contract, could he be like not playing full time or not, be mediocre or even worse? Okay, maybe, but who cares? As you said, after the deferred money, you're talking about $15 million a year at a point where like $15 million a year will be for, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with this lockout. So maybe the money will change a little, but I don't think so. And that will be, even if he does stink those last 2 years, it will be a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, he's also the type of player, though, that, like, it's funny, when he came up his first couple of years, didn't say a word. Like, he was silent. He, I think it was tough to get to know, just because he's got this mentality of a killer. Like, he wants to destroy you and, have fun and tease and talk trash now. But back then, like, he knew he had to prove himself. He always did. He was scouts would go see him in the Dominican Republic by accident. They were going to look at other players on the field. He just so happened to be there. This little kid who's like 5'2" and slapping the ball all over the place. And, finally Ramon Pena with Cleveland was like, oh, you know what? Like, this kid's kind of interesting. Let's give him $50,000, which was not much for an international prospect. And look what he turns out to be. And, Mike Napoli kind of took him under his wing in 2016 and helped him feel comfortable and helped prove to him, like, you are part of the team. You can talk to everybody. You can like strut around here. It's okay. Especially if you're proving yourself on the field. And that was his breakout season.
Yep.
And now you see a completely different person who's mentoring George Valera and Angel Martinez and Brian Rocchio, and like even guys like Davison De Los Santos. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
He's a Rule 5 pick.
Yeah.
We were scratching our heads like, how is this guy going to fit on the roster? It doesn't really make sense. And he didn't make the roster. Right. So he was in spring training with Cleveland for like 6 weeks. And Jose probably knew that. Like, he knew this guy wasn't necessarily going to stick around. He mentored that guy every day. So he's turned into such a valuable, he's a fabric of the organization, to the point where, like, he's probably not going to hit 30 home runs when he's 39 years old.
Right.
But he can find it. Like, he means so much to everybody in that organization. And I think even if the production on the field doesn't match the salary, which, again, you said it, it's like, like for David Blitzer in 2032, are you really going to regret paying Jose Ramirez $15 million that season? I highly doubt it.
He's got it's amazing with all this money being thrown around that his contract is so nothing. It's great that he's here. Because you've had this, you mentioned Lee and Sabathia, but like all those hitters from the 90s left, and then Francisco Lindor and all these guys. And now you're going to have one guy that's going to, 99% spend his entire career in Cleveland. He'll be the all-time leader in WAR. He'll be the all-time leader in homers, ribbies, all these things. He's going to be the all-time leader. He's going to end up being the greatest player in the history of the franchise, because he's going to play here long and play at a high level long. And again, you've got him, to me, such a great value until his play tails off. And I'd be surprised if he didn't have another. And what's funny is he's never going to win an MVP, most likely, right? He's going to.
He gets a $500,000 bonus.
Oh yeah, right. You get a little extra. Yeah, it's just so funny because you got Aaron Judge and whatever, and there'll be Bobby Witt, and there'll always be the sexier guy. But he's going to be, it's not often that a guy who never wins an MVP, and maybe he will, maybe I'm wrong that he won't ever win it, but it's very rare that a guy who's never won an MVP is going to be a lock for the Hall of Fame. And he's going to be a lock for the Hall of Fame.
It's interesting. One maybe opinion I have on my Hall of Fame ballot that is not shared by the majority is I think Bobby Abreu is a Hall of Famer. And he never did well in the MVP voting. And you look back and the guy had 2,500 hits and he had every season he was hitting like 302 with 110 walks, 40 doubles, 25 homers, and 40 stolen bases. And it's just like, we clearly didn't appreciate like the well-rounded players back then. We were looking for either a 340 batting average or 50 home runs.
Right.
And so to me, the sum of his career just speaks volumes more than like an individual season. And that's how I feel about Jose, where, you look at, you're right. It's like Aaron Judge sets an American League home run record. Well, he's got to be MVP. Ohtani's doing something we've never seen. He's got to be MVP. Raleigh hits 60 home runs. We've never seen that. MVP. Meanwhile, Jose's just here, just steady every single season, even he's 33 now and he's still doing, he's one of 2 players ever with multiple seasons of 30 homers, 30 doubles, 40 stolen bases. It's his last 2 seasons. It's not like this guy peaked at 27 and he's tailing off. Like there's no evidence of a decline, which is also why 2 things. One, gives you hope that he can keep putting up seasons like this and cement that Hall of Fame case. And 2, build around him. You got to do more. You can't take it for granted because it's not going to stay like that forever. Right.
Right.
And so when it does inevitably decline, even if it's in 2, 3, 4 years, you need to have support around him while he's at his best. You want to win a World Series. Like that guy, the whole thing is everything's perfect. You're a small market team. You don't ever spend. You are so blessed to have this guy spend years 20 through 40 of his life in your organization. The one missing thing, shouldn't that guy be the one who ends the World Series drought?
100%.
And
I want to see Jose in the middle of the field holding up that World Series trophy. We all want to see it.
And isn't the best opportunity to do that when he's at the peak of his powers?
Yes. And let's face it, even without Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz, who we know are probably never going to play again, their pitching staff, top to bottom, I believe, is World Series worthy. You think I'm stretching it?
No, I think it's good. I don't think it's good enough to be able to prop up a bottom 10 offense.
No, absolutely not. No, it's not. It's not the best pitching staff in the American League. It's good. Like if you had a good offense, you could win a World Series with that pitching staff. With their current offense.
Some things need to go right. Bobby needs to bounce back. Cantillo needs to probably take a step forward, and someone else. And the big thing to me, you have to avoid injuries.
Sure.
Like Cade Smith can't be worn down, and you don't want to rely on like whoever's the main 6 they had in September. You don't want to dig too far deep into who's after them.
But my point basically is they don't really need to do anything in pitching. Like the pitching as is fine. It's good, right? Like we've said all along, they need 2 big bats. Okay, well, 2 big bats was never going to happen. Now, if you look at free agency, there's only 1 big bat left in free agency. And obviously, position-wise, he doesn't fit the Guardians, and that's Eugenio Suarez. However, and I know it's unlikely, and I know I was on the Pete Alonso thing, and that, of course, didn't happen. But Suarez is probably a guy that would take a high-money short-term deal at this point. I could offer him a 2 or 3 year deal with opt-outs after every year. Give him a ton of money for 1 year. I don't care. His bat would make a big difference. That guy hit, 50 yet last year?
Yeah, 49.
You DH him. He's not very good in the field anyway. I understand. And Chris Antonetti, I love you. I know last year I was saying they should move on from the front office. I'm glad they didn't. I think I was wrong about that. But stop saying, you're worried about who you're taking at bat. Not all these young guys are going to come through. I understand that DeLauder and Valera and Kafis, I get it. I like what I've seen from some of these guys, and I want them to play. But there's room for 1 big bat at DH.
You know what's funny? I always say watch what they do. Don't listen to what the front office says, because they're amazing at corporate and speak and saying absolutely nothing, right? And they know it. They take pride in that. But they said something at the end of the season that I just filed away because I knew if the offseason went a certain way, I could use it against them. And that's, they volunteered the fact that they ranked 28th in runs last season. They pointed out the stats. They said, we have to get better. They said, Stephen Vogt and Chris Antonetti both said, like, yeah, the historic comeback to win the division is great, but the season overall was not a success. They didn't get as far as they did the year before. They still haven't won a World Series since 1948. All of those things, admitting you need a much better offense and that you were not satisfied with last year or even the year before when you made it to the ALCS. How do you explain that away with this offseason? How do you explain yourself? Like, you're saying those things and then you're doing nothing to fix the offense. And now the popular explanation is, well, we can't block these young guys who we want to see. And it's like, well, which is it? Right? Yeah. Like, you can't look me in the eye and tell me the solution to get the offense from 28th in the league to the middle of the pack is Chase DeLauder, Travis Bazzana, George Valera. Like, I like all those guys. Juan Brito. All those guys have major injury questions. They all missed a ton of time last year. Yeah. And I know that they're not naive enough to think they're all going to be healthy and as rookies, they're all going to thrive. Like, they're not that stupid. Yeah. So, like, I need an explanation. I need someone to fill in the blanks here. And I got to give them a couple more weeks because there's still players out there who could help. They could still swing a trade. The trade market hasn't ever really, picked up too much steam here. So, like, I want to see what this looks like when they get to spring training. But if this is what it looks like, and by the way, like, I love that they signed Jose to an extension. That's awesome. It means a lot of good things. It doesn't increase the payroll. So, like, we're not taking victory laps on ownership. Like, kudos to ownership for committing to him for the entirety of his career. Agreed. You deserve credit on that. But this has nothing to do with spending. This is especially in the interim, especially on the heels of 3 out of 4 division titles, and admitting and knowing you have a glaring deficiency in your lineup that hasn't been fixed and isn't just magically going to be fixed. Like, you can't just assume that Chase DeLauder, who is never healthy, and I think he is going to absolutely rake when he plays in the majors.
Agreed.
But how often is he going to play in the majors?
80 games?
Right.
100?
You banking on him playing 140 games? Because that would be foolish.
Yeah. And that's why it's silly to say, well, we don't want to block guys, because guys get hurt. That's the deal. So you think there's any chance they get involved in Suarez on a short-term deal?
It's to me, I think a big thing, a lot of I would throw Harrison Bader in here too. I think
that's part of the reason, money, but he would help.
But I think part of the issue with some of these guys who are still out there, and like Bader in particular, actually both of them, because they're both coming off really good years, right? Yeah. Bader had like the best offensive season of his career, still plays really good center field defense. Yeah. But if you look under the hood, look at his metrics, like, I'm telling you, every team is saying, yeah, Harrison, like, you're fine, but like, we don't believe that you're going to repeat what you did at the plate. Yeah. And if you're him, it's like, I got to capitalize on this. So this is when I need to get that 2-3 year deal. And I think teams are probably like, we'll give you one with an option. And so I think that's the stalemate here, that eventually someone's going to have to blink. It's usually the player who gets desperate when camps start opening and they end up signing that 1 year deal. I could see the Guardians in that arena. Because what are you telling me? We can't sign a center fielder because we're blocking Nolan Jones?
Yeah, I mean,
and Angel Martinez. Yeah. Like, come on.
Now in the trade front, I mean, what's there at proven players? Like who do you see available?
Well, I think the Cardinals still have some guys that they would be fine moving.
Brendan Donovan would be a nice addition.
The negotiating tactic with them is that they'll tell you, we don't have to do it right now. We could do it in July when teams are desperate. Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar, some guys that they're rebuilding. The Mets are interesting now. Like, Mark Vientos is a man without a job.
Somebody mentioned that to me yesterday, and there's a lot of upside with Vientos. Like, but to me, he's kind of similar to Manzardo. He's like a no field, first baseman type. I mean, he's got a big power,
Yeah.
But he's a limited player.
These are guys that you're just like Kobe Mayo
Yeah.
or Ryan Mountcastle in Baltimore.
Right.
A couple of guys, they just have way too many position players at the corner spots, and they probably need to move someone. But I think with them, like everyone thinks Framber Valdez is going to end up there. I think if he didn't, they might look to move one of those. And this is semi-educated speculation, but so I think they need to figure out like what level of pitcher they need before they move on from one of their position players. So that's the thing, is like free agency is just taking forever. And so teams drag their feet on the trade part of this because nobody wants to give up prospects, right?
Yeah.
So if you can sign a free agent, like that's ideal. Otherwise,
but Suarez is the last, big time offensive free agent available. Obviously, you got Framber Valdez, who you mentioned, pitching, and Zach Gallen is out there, but there's not much at the top end at this point. I think, I don't know that they're willing to trade him. I don't know if the Guardians would be interested, but I think Matt Shaw could be a guy that the Guardians would be interested in.
Your buddy, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've said like Nico Horner was the perfect candidate.
Yeah, I'm not.
It sounds like
stupid to trade Nico Horner.
Yeah, him and Quan hitting back to back would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's not like an ideal candidate here.
Yeah.
But I think the bottom line is you can't run this back. Like you need someone, and it's okay if you have competition in spring training too. Like it's not the end of the world if like CJ Kafis gets squeezed out of the picture on opening day.
That's fine.
And has to go to AAA for a few weeks.
Yeah, totally fine. I actually, excuse me, if we're talking about the Mets, I actually I think Brett Beatty might fit the Guardians better than Vientos.
Yeah, they're saying that they like him as like a guy who bounces around the place, but we'll see.
Yeah. I just
like Alec Baum. The Phillies were trying to get rid of Alec Baum, who I thought would be a decent fit, right-handed bat who could play corner infield, but then they missed out on Bichette, and it seems like they've got to keep Baum. They're trying to unload Nick Castellanos, and they'll cover 18 of his 20 million, but I don't think
I just don't think
anyone wants that.
Even for $2 million a year, he's going to go completely off the cliff. Oh, it's only 1 year. I mean, could he hit 25 home runs for the Guardians next year? I guess
he's a DH. He's just like a
I'd rather that feels like such a, the basement move. I don't know. Maybe they'll surprise us. They've been so, they got all these top prospects. Like, you haven't used any of them to get your offense better. Now's got to be the time. If they don't want to sign Suarez, fine. Like, just get a guy we're not thinking about.
That's the thing too. They've got like Ralphie Velasquez. I don't know how much you've seen about him, but he had an unbelievable summer.
Yeah.
And he's climbing into all these top 100 prospect lists now.
Right.
And that's a bat that I'm buying all the stock in. Now he's young. I think he's gonna be 21 this summer in May. And like you're thinking of him more 2027 and beyond, but like where are you fitting him with Kafis and Manzardo and Fry, and like you're going to have a logjam there. So you can trade someone from that group potentially, like Angel Hanau, another guy who's in every top 100 prospect list. Like if you really believe in him, is he your shortstop of the future with Bazana at second? Like what, you've got depth and you can't have it both ways. You can't not spend money and also clutch on to prospects and never trade them. And if they don't pan out, they lose all their value. Like you got to make some moves that help you win now and, fill the holes on your roster.
Let me give you, I just want to see what this guy's contract status is before I mention him. Okay. I'm just thinking about potential trade candidates. What about trying to trade for our old friend Yandy Diaz, who's got 1 year, $12 million left?
Yeah. He was like the one that got away, right? I mean, he's another way. Like he's 34, but kind of like Jose.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know.
I had a great year last year.
Career high in home runs, hit 300. I think I gave him his only. I was the only one who put him on my MVP ballot. I think I had him 10th.
18th. There it is.
And I believe it's just this year, right?
Yeah, it was a team option this year for $12 million, which is nothing.
I don't know why. Maybe it was Brandon Lau who had one of those guys on the Rays had a vesting option for 27. Yeah, I mean he's.
Say anything. I'm on Baseball Reference. It does not say anything about a vesting option.
Yeah, he does have a vesting option.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
Okay,
if he reaches 500 plate appearances, get him a $13 million salary for 27, which
I would be. I'd like him to hit that.
Right. So
that guy 2 years for $25 million. It's a
2 for 25, and yeah, like he'd be the perfect guy to hit second. I think in between Kwan and Jose. Plays first base, DH, like right-handed bat, which they don't have enough of. He's the perfect addition, and with Tampa too. And I know everyone's like, "Oh, never trade with the Rays." Like, you got Manzardo for Savali. Like, you heisted them too. Like, it's not. They're really good. Their front office is really smart. But the thing with them is a lot of times, like, it's not necessarily the top prospect you have to give up. It's someone that they like one little thing about, and they're willing to take a risk on.
Do it. Just do it. Whatever. Go get Yandy Diaz. How much better would we feel about this team if they had Yandy Diaz?
Yeah, you could have said that over the last
better. And then you're like, okay, then you could talk yourself into, well, even if the Lauder's only healthy for half the season, he should be good in that half the season. And now Manzardo, I expect him to keep taking a step forward this year. Okay, now we're talking. You keep Kwan. You think there's any chance they trade Kwan before the season?
No. Unless they're like, there's a competition to see how low they can drag down the payroll. I mean, look, glass half full, rose-colored glasses. You trade for Yandy, and like Kwan, Yandy, Jose, Manzardo, DeLauder, Valera. Like, that's not a bad top six, right?
No. And then Bazzana maybe comes up in the summer.
Yeah, Bazzana, Naylor, and who are we missing?
Rocchio.
Shortstop, Rocchio. Like, that's not a terrible lineup.
No. If Arias,
you're banking on a lot of health and young guys producing, but
I know you and I both are. DeLauder is the highest I've been on any of their prospects in a while.
And not to put too much stock into like 8 at bats where he only had 1 hit in the playoffs, but for someone who hadn't played a game in 3 months and didn't expect to get the call to come up and debut in a playoff elimination game, he looked polished. He looked ready. He looked undaunted and like working counts and like spoiling tough pitches. And I'm eager to see him.
Yeah, absolutely. So at least there's hope with those guys, but they need, again, my dreams of them getting 2 legit bats are over, but you still got to get 1. And I really think Yandy Diaz would be a great fit. You use Yandy and Manzardo between first base and DH. You mix Kafis in wherever, or maybe he's in the minors, to start the season. I don't know, but
be in right field. He could be a trade chip. Like,
you get the Lauder and Valera when they're healthy. They're starting in the outfield along with Kwan, and there we go.
Fry can be your right-handed platoon in right field.
That's true.
Instead of first base, or he can be catching. Like,
is he going to be able to play the outfield? We feel confident.
I think so. Okay. Yeah, he's going to spend a lot of time at catcher in spring training just to get back up to speed, but they expect him to bounce around.
Was Yandy still playing any third base? Like, could he fill in when Jose, takes his 5 days off at third base?
He last played in 2023, 6 games there.
Okay, so he's not. I guess he could do it. I mean, Jose usually sits like 5 games a year, but whatever. That's not.
He played a lot there in 2022. He started 102 games.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, will they do it? Will they do something like that? Maybe there's another player we're not thinking of. I don't like the idea of Castellanos. Somebody asked me yesterday about Marcelo Zuna. I don't want anything to do with him. I know he's a free agent. He's probably, sign a 1-year deal with somebody.
DH only.
Yeah, I don't like that fit with him. I mean, Bader could make some sense. Hayes could make some sense. It depends. I'm just trying to think of some other guys. I mean, there's not much on the infield, right? I mean, nothing in terms of starting players.
No, that would be more of the trade front. But and again, like we're not trying to sell anyone on these guys being perfect solutions, but
No.
beggars can't be choosers right now. And when
Yeah.
you ranked 29th in batting average,
Yeah.
29th in on base percentage, 29th in slugging percentage, you're a beggar.
Yeah, I mean, now Yandy Diaz and Eugenio Suarez would make a big, a more significant difference than the rest of the guys.
Good fits. That's just like, there's no one player is going to come out and
make the lineup amazing.
Right.
No. All right, let's get some comments from the fans. Let's see. Evan419 says, Jose. Brendan says, what's up, guys? Go Guards. Jay Fagan says, Bulls a mess. I was at the beginning of the show. That's fair. Evan says, good sign for a blitzer ownership taking on deferred money. Yes. Teams are doing that more and more often. Pitchers and catchers report in less than 3 weeks. Yeah. Do you, what are we hearing about? There's really been no news about when Blitzer is going to become the majority owner. But I think, as you said earlier, this does speak positively about him being involved more, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's changed. The earliest he can take over is late 2027 after the season. Obviously, like there's a lot to sort out before then as it pertains to the league and the collective bargaining agreement and what comes out of the work stoppage that everybody assumes is going to happen and, the TV deals for the league. And so a lot to figure out on that front first. And then, they'll have a decision with ownership and we'll know a lot more.
Let's see. Kenny says Bull is the smartest baseball mind in Cleveland media. How do I not disagree with that? Zach does. Applejack says Bull. Thank you, Applejacks. Brendan says Jose is my favorite baseball player of all time. So happy for the fans and the team. We are too, Brendan. Nikki, I had a vivid dream last night that a trade for Wilson Contreras fell through because the Guards refused to include Tyler Naquin in the deal. Can you confirm if my subconscious has inside sources?
Person's got it bad. You're in the throes of winter when that's where your mind is going at night.
I think you got some shaky sources there, Nikki. I don't think Tyler Naquin's holding anything. Isn't he pitching in the minors? Is he still on the Guardians?
No, he's a free agent now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to keep going.
Great one says, how come whenever the Dolans, it's very presumptuous, by the way, how come whenever the Dolans don't want to spend on a hitter, why can't they just make David Blitzer spend whatever they don't want from them? Well, why isn't David Blitzer spending more now, I guess is what he's saying.
Because he only owns the quarter of the team? I don't know.
Elephant says, Tampa Bay Rays fan here can only hope that Junior Caminero has at least something close to the career Jose Ramirez has had in Cleveland. He has a long way to go. Good start last year. Yeah, he was amazing last year.
I'd say.
Beastier says, I'm sick of arguing about spending, especially this offseason. It was a bad free agent class for our needs.
Yeah, I don't like there's not a perfect number in mind when I think of payroll. Yeah. To me, it's just a matter of when you have clear faults. And look, this is not me saying like if this team was in the position of like the White Sox, who have I think their payroll now that they traded Luis Robert, their payroll is the lowest in baseball.
Oh,
okay. Like I wouldn't be sitting here saying like you need to spend more. This is ridiculous.
Right.
Now they should. They're in Chicago, and Jerry Reinsdorf has just run his two franchises into the ground. But it's the fact that like the Guardians can do this. Like they're on the precipice. They've done all the hard work. It's just now you have to and I don't care if it's spending on a free agent or making a trade.
Right.
It's more just you have to do something to help get your team over the hump.
Yeah.
So that's I think where the frustration lies.
Absolutely. Rockabuckum, Shapiro's biggest mistake, not re-signing Albert Bell. Jake Langs, Jose solidified himself as a top 3 Cleveland baseball player. Eddie Bull, have you seen Begonia? If so, thoughts? Great movie. Everybody should see it, but I'm not going to get into details. This is not the time. Elephant back in the mix. Looks like there's a lockout coming after the 26th season. The economic issues on MLB are causing a lot of division in the sport between the players' union and ownership. Do you think, I believe that the owners, and maybe I'm crazy, there will 100% be a lockout. I think the owners are not going to stop until they get a salary cap. And I think ultimately a salary cap, and more importantly, a salary floor, is what's best for the fans.
Yeah, you need.
It's a complicated subject.
Yeah, we don't have time for this, but no. To put it succinctly, I think there is division within players and there's division within owners. I think the small, quote unquote, small market owners need to stand up for themselves and say to the owners of the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Mets, we can't compete the way this goes. We're making $40 million a year on our TV deal and the Dodgers make $330 million a year on their TV deal, and we can't compete with that. And you got to find a happy medium. I think cap and a floor would be a really good start. I think there needs to be some sort of better TV revenue sharing because that's what the NFL has figured out. And that's why Green Bay and Kansas City and Tampa and Buffalo can be in these huge marquee games. And no one talks about payroll or market size or anything because it doesn't matter because these teams are all doing well. Baseball's never going to get to that point. But you need better. Like there is way too much disparity here. And what the players need to realize too is that, it might hurt like the Juan Sotos of the world, the 1% who are breaking barriers with the contracts they're signing. And that's great. And I want every player to get paid what they're worth. But it takes so long for a Major League Baseball player to get paid handsomely. It takes until you get to year 2 of arbitration, 5 years into your career. Most guys never get to free agency. And very, very small percent get the sort of contract that would be burdened by a salary cap anyway. And it would benefit teams because you'd have more teams interested in you, which would drive up the price of a free agent.
In the long run, it would help. I do believe it would help most players. Obviously, you got to have the floor. You got to force the bottom teams to spend more. And you got to, and if you do some sort of revenue sharing, like the baseball players would actually get a higher percentage of the total money than they do now. The only thing it would hurt, as you said, the Shohei Ohtanis, the Aaron Judges, the Juan Sotos, that's the minimum, as you said, maybe 1%. I don't even know if it's 1% of the players that would get hurt by this in the long run. Players are not going to see it that way. But the bottom line is, and I've always been a pro-union guy, what's best for the fans, and think about it. You talked about in football, we barely ever talk about money. We certainly don't talk about it in terms of big market, small market, ever, right? The Browns have spent the most money. They've spent it stupidly, but they've spent the most money. With the type of sport that baseball is, it would be even like in football, even with a salary cap, if you have the great quarterback, that's the big disadvantage, right? In basketball, you have the superstar. It's harder to compete. In baseball, the nature of baseball, if you had a salary cap and a salary floor, it would be wide open all the time.
Yeah. It's I think maybe the biggest problem for the sport right now is, like we always talk about it as like a regional sport. Like when I was a kid, I watched Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN every week. I watched Fox's Game of the Week on Saturday afternoons, no matter who was playing.
Right.
Every star was a household name.
Yeah.
No matter the team. I don't do that anymore. And I cover baseball for a living. It's become so regionalized. And a big problem is that what percent of the 30 teams actually feel like they can win a World Series this year? Pretty small number. 7, 8 of those teams, maybe. And
are you including the Guardians on that?
No. And it's perception is what matters here, not reality, right? And I understand that like randomness can happen in October and a team gets hot and you win a World Series.
Yeah.
It's possible. You look at like the number of teams in the bottom half of payroll who have won a World Series, it's like next to nothing, right?
Yeah.
And I think the issue is that like the journey of a baseball season is fun. Like, we do all this bitching and moaning in the off season and then opening day gets here and we're excited, right? But it is a brutal sport to be a fan of or to cover or to talk about for 6 months of the year in a lot of places, right? And so you'd finally, in the NFL, if your team stinks, who cares? We can talk about the draft. We know our team's getting the number 1 pick and that can turn our fortunes like that.
Right.
The Browns just had such a crummy year And in Cleveland, all anyone has talked about every single day, every single minute of every single day for weeks is a coaching search. Like,
right.
is Jose Ramirez going to get 10 seconds of radio time on Monday morning, or is it going to be all about Nathan Shieldhouse and how Anthony Lynn interviewing makes it so that they can interview Shieldhouse and then make a decision? Like, that's where we're at, and it's because of the dynamics of football and how they've gotten this right, so that all around the calendar, 12 months a year,
Yep.
you're excited about football because there's something keeping you going. And in baseball, it's just not that way for so many teams. Because if you're like the Kansas City Royals and you've been like a solid average team the last couple of years, and it's like in the NFL, that would be the team that goes and drafts that wide receiver that takes them over the top, right? Or something like that. And they signed Lane Thomas and traded for Isaac Collins, and that's supposed to keep people going for a few months. It's like, it's rough. And that's where it is. That's how it is in so many places. And it's just, it's not healthy. Or you get like these teams like the White Sox or these rebuilding teams. They're just like the Nationals. They traded Juan Soto and they launched this rebuild, and they've been rebuilding for 6 years. And now they're trading away the players they got for Juan Soto. And it's like, you're going to stink for a decade. And like in the NFL, that can happen, but you have top picks, you have new coaches, you have you're
the Browns are the exception. The Browns are the exception. You're right. Like in January, we've got the playoffs and the coaching search. In February, we got the Super Bowl. In March, we got free agency.
Combine.
March, free agency. April, the draft. May, they release the schedule. You got June is really the only month.
You get OTAs.
Yeah. And then July is training camp. So, and baseball doesn't really have any of that.
And it's just, I feel like everybody knows everything about other teams. Like in baseball, what percentage of baseball fans know about players on the Marlins? But there's a decent percentage of football fans who know a lot of stuff about the Dolphins. Like it's become such a regional game, and I think it would just help the health of the sport if they followed some of the things the NFL has done that make it relevant and prominent and give fans hope, even in markets where your team has stunk.
And unfortunately, to get that, we're probably going to have to maybe not even have a season at all next year. It could be that crazy, unfortunately. Let's see. John says, do they really need 500 million, 700 million to play baseball? Great hitters, you have to pay more. So they are scared and it's annoying. I don't get that one. Manuel Bull, do you remember the name of the player you proposed? He was a hitter. Where is he at now? Is he still an option? The player that I proposed? I don't know what you're talking about, Manuel. Somebody mentioned Romy Gonzalez. Somebody mentioned to me Romy Gonzalez yesterday too. I mean, I don't know.
Why are the Red Sox moving on from him?
I know he hits lefties well. I don't know. To me, if I'm gonna make a move at first base DH, I want somebody that is like Yandy Diaz, and that I'm playing him every day. I mean, I would kill him if they traded for Romy Gonzalez. You probably wouldn't have to give up a ton, but
they still need to move an outfielder. They need to trade Jarren Duran.
I mean, Jarren Duran could be an
interesting
here.
That's what I mean. Like the trade market just hasn't gotten.
It has for the pitchers.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen 3 big pitchers trades. Mackenzie Gore got traded, Edward Cabrera got traded, and Freddie Peralta got traded.
True. But the hitter side, like Brendan Donovan was
right,
like the most likely guy to be moved, and he hasn't been moved.
I've been hearing about Duran for a while too, about the possibility. By the way, if Tarek, you think things are bad now with Kyle Tucker going to the Dodgers, can you imagine if Tarek Skubal gets traded to the Dodgers? I almost feel like the baseball has to step in and tell the Dodgers you can't do that.
Like when the Lakers almost got Chris Paul back in the day, and David Stern said, "Nah."
Honestly, if I were the commissioner, I would call the Dodgers right now and say you cannot trade for Tarek.
Why do they need him though? Like you need him in October, maybe, but you don't need him for the Dodgers. The regular season is just a formality.
Yeah,
they just need to stay healthy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think How many fan bases right now? You mentioned before. How many fan bases think they can win the World Series? The Dodgers. Anybody else in the NL West or the Padres fans think they can win? I don't think so.
They're kind of a mess. I don't. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like there are maybe teams who could talk themselves into it if this goes right and this goes right
Yeah.
and this goes right. The Blue Jays are legitimate,
Blue
right?
Jays. I right now think the Cubs can win the World Series.
Yeah, they've had a really nice offseason.
The Yankees can win the World Series.
So the Yankees, sure, but also like they've for some reason just
No,
decided to
I
run
don't
it
love
back the
I don't
last 2
love their
years, which
team, but
yeah.
if Garrett Cole is healthy by the middle of the season, they've got that may be a big if, but if you're a Red Sox fan, their pitching's great.
I mean, it's all the big markets. It's Toronto,
Yeah.
New York, Boston, Philly, the Mets,
Chicago,
Braves, maybe
maybe. What's the
Cubs,
smallest market where they think Toronto's a huge market?
Mariners. But
Yeah.
even they have had kind of an uninspired like
Yeah.
you had this great ALCS run, your fans are jazzed, like go sign a bat.
I mean, the Brewers are good every year. They traded Peralta.
Yeah.
I bet you they'll still be good this year. I bet you that trade.
The team that's maybe the most disappointing
Yeah.
is the Tigers.
Oh, they've done
Because you've got Scooble for 1 year. That's it.
Yeah.
So you either need to trade him or you need to go win a World Series.
Yeah.
And they decided to do nothing.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
I think if the Orioles sign Framber Valdez, they got a shot.
Could be.
They need one big pitcher.
Yeah.
You think the stuff with Framber Valdez that happened with Maldonado at the end of last year? You think that's a factor here?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You could use it against him. But
yeah. By the way, somebody asked, what's a realistic compensation in a trade for Quan? It's hard to say. Here's the problem. The Quan thing is silly to me. There should be no reason why the Guardians can't sign Quan. He's not an idiot. Nobody's paying him monster money. He's got no power. It's not like, look at Luis Arraez.
If you're him, why are you doing it now when you're going to make $8 million this year? So it's not like you're desperate for cash and you're coming off a down season.
Right. But what I'm saying is once he's down to 1 year, like it shouldn't be that hard.
But why would you sign if you're a year away from free agency? Why are you
But what I'm saying, okay, so then let him get the free agency and then re-sign him. Because nobody is paying him a ton of money. I don't see it.
Yeah, he's a weird one. There's not really a comp, right? Like Luis Arraez is still out there.
Nobody's paying him. I mean,
they're different players.
Defender and Arraez doesn't play the field well, but Arraez is a better hitter.
Not last. Quan was down last year too.
The thing about Quan is we think of him as a 300 hitter. He's never hit 300.
No, it's the interesting thing is going to be how Quan ages. He's had hamstring trouble in the past, so you worry about him just having that recur as he gets older.
Yeah.
If he played center field, I think maybe he's more valuable on the free agent market. I don't know.
Rice's career batting average is 36 points higher than Quan.
Yeah, but and I actually like Arraez. I think more. Yeah. I think he's better than what people are valuing him as.
Yeah.
But like the last couple of years, his chase rate's awful. So he just makes a ton of weak contact.
Right. I hear you.
And like there's no extra base power. He doesn't steal bases. Doesn't draw walks. He's a weird player.
But you know what? He had a higher slugging percentage than Quan last year.
Look, he's not a great fit for Cleveland whatsoever. Yeah. And yet I've kind of said all offseason, like, I'd be interested in that just because.
Why not?
It'd be annoying if you're a pitcher and you have to go through him, Quan, and Ramirez to start a game.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
A lot of pitches. Anyway, Quan might end up in that franchise tag sweet spot. There's no franchise tag in baseball. This is not football. Maybe he's thinking of the qualifying offer eventually. Who knows if that – my guess is if they get a salary cap seller for the qualifying offer will go away.
Well, and the tough thing, too, with the trade is –
yeah.
And I think this is part of it with like Brendan Donovan and other guys who have 2 years of team control remaining.
Right.
how much value are you going to get out of that player in 2027 when we don't know if there's going to be a season?
Well, if there's no season in 27, do the contracts go another year?
Nope.
Okay.
So that's the thing. You're trading for, Brendan Donovan, and you're going to give up a top prospect for him when you'll get 2026 and
Who
50
knows?
games of 2027.
If you had to bet right now how many games they play, if any, in 27, what would your bet be?
I really don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
have
hard to
heard,
say.
because I'm not smart enough on the labor stuff to formulate my own like super educated guess. So I lean on people who specifically cover that.
Yeah,
And I've heard both ends of the spectrum. Like
really.
I've heard from smart people who say cooler heads will prevail in time. Like I feel pretty confident there's going to be a lockout, and like the off season will, no one will notice because it's the
Yeah.
off season takes forever to get going anyway. But I've heard from some people who say like they're not going to jeopardize future TV money, so they'll. But part of me is like, I want them to fix the sport.
They have to.
So like I
think
don't know that you can do that quickly.
no, they have to. It's they have to go all in on it. The owners have to there has to be a salary cap at the end and a floor at the end of this. Otherwise, what was it for? If they have a lockout and the season's down to 100 games and you don't have any change of that level, then what was the point of it? There
Isn't one.
no point. All right. Well, we've yapped for about almost an hour here, Zach. Always a pleasure. If there's any Guardians news of significance that breaks between now and the start of spring training, we will be back on again. If not, we'll be back on as we get going for spring training. Thanks, everybody, for joining us in the chat today. We appreciate it. And we appreciate your love of the Guardians. And we're all hopeful that the Guardians will surprise us and either spend some money here down the stretch between now and spring training or make a trade. I think that's more likely than them spending at least significant money in free agency. Right now, the only money they've spent in free agency is Austin Hedges and a couple of bullpen arms. What have they spent? Like $10 million total?
Almost exactly, yeah.
Yeah. That's not good. And so but that's where we are. But to go back to what we originally discussed, it is a great day if you're a fan because of Jose Ramirez. We are both excited about the extension and think it was a great move by the Guardians. And Jose Ramirez is not only going to go down as one of, if not the greatest Guardians player, Indian/Guardians player of all time, he's going to go down as the guy who took less money, and it meant like players always say, they always try to pretend it's not about the money. With Jose, it's really not about the money. I mean, obviously he's making a lot of money. He and his family are going to be set for life, but he could have made a whole lot more, and that didn't matter to him.
Yeah, I know from talking to people close to him, like the deferments, like he was really in on that because he likes the idea of having money in the future when he's retired.
Yeah.
Still coming in. He's going to save money overall on the deferments because of not having to pay state income tax.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot. There's like, it can be mutually beneficial here. And, more than anything, like he said this after his previous extension, like it means a lot to him to stay in one place, to have that Hall of Fame plaque just say Cleveland.
Absolutely. He is the mayor of the Cleveland Guardians. I mean, he does whatever he wants to do. And fortunately, he's such a great guy that's not like, he's going to do bad things. He's going to make good choices. He's a great leader. You've talked about it. He mentors the young players. He plays good defense. He hits for average. He hits for power. He steals the most steals of his career last year. I mean, it's just, he's an unbelievable person as far as I know. Obviously, I don't know him personally, and an unbelievable ball player and a great representative of the team and the city. So it's a great day. Now let's go spend some money on other players. We'll see y'all next time on the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show.